Today's call is all around adaptation for success. So last week we were talking all around being open to change and the power of actual change. So today we're talking about adaptation, because this really is really important that when we're looking at things being in sync. So going back, you know, when we always talk around you going back and actually you're working your way through the process and being clear on what's coming up and how you want to move forward, how you want to progress. So make sure that you've got your focus with me today and you're ready to actually get some huge value, engage, interact, share what's been going on, anything that comes up, whether it be something that you have a light bulb moment or you triggered, whatever it is, share into the community. It's really important that we work through anything that comes up, any questions you may have as well. So what we're going to talk around, hey Carolyn, what we're going to talk around today about adaptation. There's actually a saying here that I want to just cover with you. This is weird, it just actually disappeared. There we go. So the most successful businesses will be those that are intentional and strategic about managing their adaptive activities. This means adapt your business to the change that is happening in your ecosystem, as well as adapting the opportunities within the ecosystem to help your business change for the better. That's really, really powerful when we think about that. The most successful businesses will be those that are intentional and strategic about managing their adaptive activities. This means adapt your business to the change that is happening in your ecosystem, as well as adapting the opportunities within the ecosystem to help your business change for the better. So when you hear that, what's the thought process? What is it that's actually, what focus on you and dinner? Oh, you're going to eat me, are you, Tracy? So it's really, really important that we start thinking about adaptation and actually the importance of it to help us move forward, not just in business, but also within our life. Now, many of us are in here because we came in for business. We came in for financial abundance and more time freedom to do the things that we want with our family members. And many of us who are actually proactive, who are actually being active in the community, have realized that, hang on, their results, they are results from me showing up, from me actioning what I need to action within the training. So what's really important here is that we look at how we need to adapt to get those results. So sometimes we have to change our course. We have to change the set of the sail. So for instance, if you're on a sailing boat and the wind changes direction, you wouldn't leave your sails set. You would actually shift them. And what's so important here is that when you shift them, you catch a new breeze, which is going to take you to where you need to get to. Now, those people who have boats or have sailing boats or have ever been on a sailing boat understand exactly what I'm talking about here. And this is exactly the same in our life. Like we must start looking about which way is the breeze blowing. Are our sails actually in the wind to help us grab that traction to propel us in the direction we want to go? Or are we just literally floating around not knowing where we're going? But it's really important that we are open to change. We're open to that course being changed along our journey, because some of us get so fixated. Some of us get so just tunnel vision, and that does not allow us for growth. We can't see all these great things that are happening around us. We can't see the blessing that's taking place. And unfortunately, that disempowers us. We're choosing to allow this to happen. We're choosing to allow this disempowering to happen to us because we are not willing to change the course. We're not willing to see that there may be another track around the big problem. So for instance, I went four-wheel driving down the John Holland track. Now, there's one way to go, and it could be going right through big, deep, boggy puddles and so on. And then there's what's called the chicken track, where you can go around it. Now, sometimes the chicken track is just as bad as the normal way of going through, or the straight way of going through. However, there's an option, and sometimes you need to take the chicken track to get around. Sometimes that's going to help you get to your destination rather than getting stuck, rather than actually not having the tools and the skills to get you out of a sticky situation. And this is why it's so important to be able to adapt in that situation when it's around the course, around the strategy that you've put in place to achieve your goals and your dreams, whatever it may be, the results that you want in your business. We have to be able to adapt. We have to be able to willingly change our course, move those sails, allow ourselves to actually catch that breeze and move forward. And sometimes it's those people who are around us that are actually the breeze. Those people who are making the changes. I always talk about when you're zigging and then you need to zag. If you start zagging, everybody else is still zigging and you're going off and you're creating the momentum that you need. And then by the time they all see, oh, zagging is what we need to be doing, you're already well ahead. And then when they all come over and start zagging, then it's like, well, it's now time to start zigging. It's the same as when you think around the technology evolved. When we used to send letters, we used to do actual physical drop mail to people, and then it shifted to emails. Everyone started emailing, and now all our email inboxes are full. But when we get a letter, we tend to actually take the time to open it and see what's inside it. So whilst everybody's zigging, sending emails, we could be zagging, sending letters. That's the way that zigging and zagging works. And it's really looking at the change. I know that when we did the animation videos and so on, that was 10, 12-year-old technology. It's 10, 12-year-old marketing techniques. And people would say, oh, does that work? You go, yeah, because not many people are doing it. And that's the thing. It's unique. So when it stands out, it's unique and people are attracted to it. And that's what's so important around being prepared to change your course. Hey, Annette. So the whole focus here around this is also around the adaptation and adapting to our surroundings and adapting to who we are to become better, is improving our knowledge. So what are we doing to improve our knowledge in our area of field, in our focus of what we want to achieve, in whatever it is that we're promoting, whether it be ourselves or whether it be a product or a service or whatever it is? How are we improving our knowledge to add more value? So one of the things that I was talking about recently this week was that a lot of people in groups, that whether it be in Facebook, whether it be in some kind of community groups, they're very good at verbal diarrhea of just trying to sell and hitting you on all the facts and so on. And the thing is, nobody likes to be sold to. But what people like is value, education, being empowered to make their own decision. So what's really important is that we are becoming more than we currently are. We are learning more than we currently know, because when we do that, when we actually put ourselves in a situation and we become the specialist, then we're able to add more value because we know more. And this is really important to getting your message across, to helping people align with you to also then want to invest in whatever it is that you're offering, because everybody is selling themselves. If you want a job, you've got to sell yourself to your boss, your employer. Otherwise, why is she or he going to employ you? It's exactly what's going on through an interview process. It's what's going on every single day that you rock up to work. Whether you work for yourself and you've got clients, if you're a massage therapist, you've got to sell your value to that person. They need to be leaving knowing that they've been helped. I know that whenever I get an injury, I travel 20 to 30 minutes to go and see my physio, because I know that I'm going to get fixed. I know that he knows his stuff well enough to be able to share his knowledge and experience to help me get the results I want, which is to not have the pain. And this is really important so that we're improving our knowledge and we're adding more value and we're creating more connection, and people are willing to listen to people. People are willing to actually invest in people's time, knowledge, experience, education. Jumping on a call like this right now, whether it be any kind of value that we're sharing on social media, people know that if you're continually growing and you're adding value, that they are going to get value. So they're willing to give up their time to listen to you in knowing that they're going to be growing. So that's super, super important when we start looking at adapting. Adapt from where you currently are. Adapting your knowledge base. Adapting your value. Because what's really important when we actually look at the whole picture around this is that we have to become uncomfortable. We have to get in a state of being uncomfortable, because that's the only way we grow. When you look around at the earth, if you go into nature a lot and you look at actually like the mountain forms or the hills and the big rocks, it's stress, it's pressure that creates this beauty. So we have to get uncomfortable. We have to be willing to have the wind battering against us. Remember that the wind is what shapes the land. The pebble that's constantly rolling and being battered by the water in the stream is all smooth and shaped beautifully. And this is happening every single day to us in all areas of our life. And especially when we're working for ourselves, because that's one of the most challenging things we can ever do. That's why there's only a small percentage of people, up to around about 5%, it's between 3 and 5%, who are the change makers, who are the people who are actually providing all the jobs. Because the other 95 to 97% just want to actually be comfortable. They want to be able to go somewhere. They want to be dependent, because they don't want to get uncomfortable. They don't want to be independent because of fear. They don't believe that they can do it. And this is exactly where we've all been. We've all been there. I can remember working for a guy where he offered me more money. He just wanted to keep me there when I was building homes and apartments and stuff. And I said, it's not about that. I want to grow. I want to learn more. I want to develop. I want to add more value. And if I stay here, I'm not going to be able to do that. And that was no disrespect to him and what he was offering, but I knew that I had to get out, and to go out and be self-employed, to choose to be self-employed and go and do things that I hadn't ever really done before was scary. But it was what took me into the place that I needed to be. It's what trebled my income at the time. In fact, it quadrupled my income, something that my boss, when I was leaving, just couldn't afford to pay me. He couldn't afford to double my income, let alone treble it or quadruple it. So I had to make a step in the direction, but I became more valuable, and therefore I was able to charge more. And when I came to Australia and I didn't know anybody, and everybody who was all my contacts, my database that I had built in the UK, I had left that behind, so I had to start afresh. But my knowledge and experience and skill set was already dictated the level of income that I was going to earn. And the only variable who was going to actually challenge that was myself. Do I believe I'm worth that? Am I going to add that much value? Especially in a new country when there's different ways of doing things. So we must get uncomfortable to be able to move forward, to be able to adapt. We've got to adapt to our surroundings, to our experiences. This is really, really important. So, hey, Letitia. So what we need to be looking at as well when we're wanting to adapt for success and go through that process is being surrounded by the right people, by putting ourselves in a group, putting ourselves in a community, actually showing up, engaging. I'm part of many, many different communities, and there'll be many more that come. There'll be many that go as well, because I'm growing and evolving, and I can't always stay in certain communities because I've got what I've needed from that. It's not that I've gone in there and just taken. I've got what I've needed, and I need to move on, because if I don't continually move on and continually challenge myself, how am I ever going to grow? And this is exactly the same for you. You've got to put yourself in situations where you are challenged to adapt, where you are challenged to grow. And when you're around those people who are going to raise your vibration, who are going to help elevate your level of value, that's what is of value to you, and that's what you want. And I know that's what every single person watching this call wants, because you wouldn't be here at this time in the video. You wouldn't be in a community that's all focused on empowering you to achieve your goals and dreams. That's all about empowering you to become more than you are right now. Why would you want to remain the same person? That's not saying that you're not of value, but if you can become more valuable, which we all can, why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you want to be a better parent, a better brother or sister, a better auntie or uncle, a better son or daughter? Why wouldn't you? Ask yourself that question, because it's so important. And by being surrounded by the right people is what is going to give you the tools, the skill, the understanding, the communication skills that are essential today. One of the things that's happened because of social media, because of technology, is our communication skills are shocking when we're in front of people. We don't know, to a degree, how to communicate properly. I have so many conversations with people where it's just all basic level communication, and we've got disconnected. We don't know how to have these conversations, and it's really important that we actually get back and we get involved. And start connecting with our emotions. We start feeling again. We start having this, rather than reading a text message, reading a post that's been or a comment that's on social media, and then perceiving it based on our own state right at that time, based on our past experiences. People are triggered by how I look, and I've not even spoken to them. People are triggered by what I say on videos because of what's going on in their life or their past experiences. Yet it might have nothing to do with what I'm saying. And this happens every single day. It'll happen with you, to you, and happen from you, where people are triggered by you, are upset by you, are excited by you, are grateful for you. And it's 100% happening all the time, especially when you're out there and putting yourself out there. And that's why when you listen to anybody who's successful, will say, until you get the haters, you've not made it. And it's not about going out there and going, I just want haters, because that's not what it's about. It's about people who want to remain comfortable will always point the finger, will always challenge other people, will always try and bring other people down, so it makes them feel better. That's why there's many people who watch the news, read the newspaper, listen to the radio in regards to when they're doing all the negative, low vibration information, because they're sat there watching the news and whatever, and they're sat there going, oh, well, my life isn't that bad, so everything's all good. But what's that doing? It's just keeping the vibration so low in society that we're never, ever evolving to who we truly are. So our focus is to surround ourselves with the right people who are going to challenge us, who are going to encourage us, but more importantly, who are going to believe in us. Because when you're in a community that are surrounded by all people who are striving to achieve their goals and dreams, then there's nothing else other than belief. There's nothing else other than high vibration. There's nothing else than certainty that you and as a group, as a community, we can all achieve the success that we desire, and in all fairness, that we deserve. Adaptation is so, so important. So be prepared to adapt with those around you, family members, friends. Get accountable. You know, accountability, I mentioned before around the only variable. That is so important, that we actually look ourselves in the mirror and realize that we are the only variable. We are the only one who can walk those steps. We are the only one who can stand on stage and speak. We are the only one who can do the Facebook Live. We are the only one who can come on and comment. We are the only one who can help our business grow in the direction it wants. Because if we don't take the action that we need, how can we expect the results? This is so, so, so important. Hey, Craig. Really, really important. So accountability, we've got to take ownership. We have to take ownership for everything that has happened in our lives to this point today, and everything that is going to happen. We have to take 100% ownership, because that's super important. If we want the results, we have to be prepared to take ownership of it all. We can't just get there and enjoy the fruit if we're not prepared to take ownership of the things that haven't quite worked out based on how we wanted to work out. And remember, as much as logically we're trying to process it because we're trying to protect ourselves, anything that hasn't quite worked out the way that we want it to work out is 100% from a place of growth, is 100% a place to empower us to move forward. And it wouldn't be happening to you if you weren't strong enough to move forward. The only things that happen to you are the things that you are strong enough to move forward, for you to experience what you need to experience, and also to teach what you need to teach. That's really, really powerful. You know, I talk around this in mental health. I know what happened to me was to wake me up. It wouldn't have happened if I wasn't ready for it. And it needed to happen because my life was just being comfortable. And when I look back now, I dread to think of being in the mining industry, and it's no disrespect to anybody who works there. But for me, I'm far greater, I'm far bigger than that. And there's something that had to happen. The universe, God, whatever you want to say, had to knock me and hit me so hard that I fell off my feet and landed on my back. And like Les Brown says, if you can see up, you can get up, and you can start moving in the direction that you want to go. And this is why accountability is so important, by taking that level of ownership, and also surrounding yourself, like I just mentioned before, with people who will also be accountable for you, who will also stand up to you and say, hey, you said you were going to do this in this amount of time. What's going on? Why haven't you done it yet? It's not to degrade you. It's not to disempower you. It's to empower you. You said this, so where are you at? Why have you not taken that action? Sometimes we need that level of motivation. Remember, motivation doesn't last. Motivation doesn't last. You can go to bed thinking, in the morning, I'm going to get up and go to the gym. I'm going to jump on. I'm going to make 20 calls, and I'm going to respond to those emails, and I'm going to get out there and do a Facebook Live. And then you wake up the next day and you're like, oh, forget that. I ain't going to the gym. This is too warm and comfortable in this bed. Oh, I don't need to do a Facebook Live today. Those calls can wait. I don't feel like speaking to anyone today. Motivation does not last. So it's super important that we start looking at how can we become more accountable? What strategies can we put in place to adapt what's going on? And it might be just that instead of setting out 20 calls, I'm going to ring 20 people. It might be that, well, do you know what? If I ring one person, that's good. Or I'm going to make enough calls until I've spoken to 5 people. You know, this was one of the things that I learned when I looked into a friend of mine who opened up a real estate company, asked me to go and be a salesperson for real estate. And I had no interest in selling houses. I love to help people. So the whole focus was, hey, I'm going to be able to help somebody sell the house. I'm going to be able to help somebody buy a new house. It's all exciting times. It's arguably one of the biggest investments everyday people would ever make. However, I had no interest in houses. I wasn't passionate about houses, even though I used to build them. I was more passionate about building them than selling them. But she saw the value in me, in the value of the way that I present, the way that I communicate, and the fact that I used to build houses. I'd know how all around selling them, and I'd be able to learn very, very quickly. However, the passion wasn't there. And what I realized was that when you go into something without being passionate about it, then you have a lot of pressure on yourself around accountability to show up, to challenge yourself, to want to be there. And if you're not actually showing up and you're not keeping yourself accountable for your growth and the value that you're going to share with people, then it's just going to fizzle out and people aren't going to align with it. And this is where it's really important with regards to hanging on, because sometimes we've put so much time and effort into things that we literally like lock our claws in and we don't want to let go. And when we don't want to let go, we can end up continuing on this same journey. Like I said at the beginning, tunnel vision, we can continue on this same journey and we're missing the exits that we're supposed to be taking. And it comes down to ego. It comes down to this ego of going, I don't want to be seen as quitting. I don't want people to think, oh, well, you failed at that. It doesn't work. You're a failure. Because it's not that. It's like, do you know what? I realized if I had continued on that path, I was going to crash. I was going to get to a point where the whole thing was going to collapse and fall on me. So I needed to make a shift. I needed to change direction. And I know that course, changing the set of the sail to get the wind, is going to take me to where I need to get to. So we've got to be aware of what are we hanging on to? Are we hanging on to relationships? Are we hanging on to a job that's not serving us anymore? Are we hanging on to the business when we need to adapt? You know, this happened especially within the social media area. You know, I remember when people were actually, years ago, I remember seeing a guy in particular on a pedalo on a lake talking all around earning an income online. And I'm like, what? And I didn't know anything about the online world. I didn't know anything about technology. I didn't know how to leverage it. I mean, it was just actually posting on Facebook, you know, just so that family and friends back in the UK could keep up to date with what I was up to was enough, let alone learning the skills. And naturally you go, oh, well, you have to be an IT consultant or you have to be trained in IT to be able to do anything like that. And it's not the case. But the fear stepped forward and put a barrier up. And the problem with it is that when we actually live our life like that, and from a place of disempowering, from a place of protecting us, we never evolve, we never grow. But then when we do commit to something, especially a business, and definitely when we're using social media to leverage from, social media is constantly evolving. And if we don't evolve with it, if we continue to say, no, this is the way and this is the only way I'm going to do it, we could get left behind. We have to let go. And that's what basically is the challenge with ego, letting go. You know, forgiving people who we've challenged along the journey. People who have challenged along the journey, and the people who we look back on and we use the word hate, we use the word I'll never forgive them. We use the words like negative words and cursing words towards them. That is not that all happened to help us be the people we are today. And whilst we continue to hold on to that, continue to allow ego to control us, then we're never going to be able to move forward. So we have to adapt, not only in business, but also within our life. We have to look at the ways that social media is adapting. There's so many different platforms today. So do we have to adapt? Do we have to see where's our target audience? You know, where are our target audience? Arguably, if you're in your 50s or 60s, your target audience may not be on Instagram. It may not be on Snapchat. You know, these are the things to be aware of. Where is your target audience? And get clear on that. So if you've started on this, if you continue on a certain platform and your audience isn't there and you don't adapt, your business isn't going to grow. But if you adapt and realize, hey, this is where my network is. If you're in corporate, you know, there's the high chance that you're actually going to be using LinkedIn rather than Facebook, because a lot of people, who are in corporate would tend to use Facebook to be more personal, but they're looking for business with other corporate people on LinkedIn. So these are the things to be aware of and actually look at. How do I need to adapt? What do I need to address? How do I need to look at my business plan? Have I got a business plan? Is my business plan just so rigid that I'm not allowing any kind of flexibility? Remember, the way that we move every day, you notice that my hands move a lot. The way that we move is because of being flexible. If we were so rigid, it'd literally be like this and I wouldn't even move very much and it'd be so boring, but we have to adapt. We have to flow. When somebody's walking towards you and they've got a trolley and you're just walking, you have to adapt to move, or they do. Otherwise, there's a collision. There's a crash. And this is exactly the same why so many businesses fail, because they don't adapt. That's why they say, on average, when you start a business, you're looking at a minimum of 5 years. And the 5-year mark is the mark where once you get past 5 years, a lot of businesses start to grow. Because up to 5 years, any business can collapse. Not just sole trading, not just like your personal business, but also big companies. That's why it's so important to keep going, but always looking at what's not working, what is working, what can I do better? They're the 3 questions to always ask yourself. What isn't working? What is working? What can I do better? And reflect. Take the time to reflect on where you're at right now in your personal life and in your business life. Because remember, your business will only grow based on you growing. Wherever you put all your energy, one of them is going to collapse. So you must focus on you becoming more than you are. You must focus, if you want success, because you mustn't do anything or you shouldn't do anything. But if you want the results, you must start looking at what are you doing on a daily basis to help you become more than you currently are. Because if you're not doing that, you are not growing. What are the things that ignite you, excite you, help you actually live a better life, help you get a level of joy? If you're just 100% focused on money, I'm telling you right now, you are disempowering yourself. The money is a byproduct of the value you provide. So you must focus on you first to be able to grow, to be able to provide more value, to be able to share that with the world. And that way you become attractive and people want to hear you speak. People want to see you. People want to understand exactly what it is that you're talking about, what service you're offering, what product you're offering, how you can benefit them in their life. And that all comes from adaptation. That all comes from adaptation, which leads to success. So really, really important we're clear on that. So thank you so much for your time. And this is just going to be a very quick call talking around adaptation for success. Remember last time I spoke all around change and being open to change. And when we're open to change, that is going to effectively send us in the direction that we want to go. It's going to be able to, same as I said before, changing the set of your sail to take you to where you want to go. So I look forward to speaking to you again very, very soon. Thank you for your time. Thank you for jumping on. And as always, take care and have a tremendous day. Bye for now.